Hi, third graders. So we read those down Squirrels yesterday, and I wanted to share with you a strategy for figuring out tricky words. Sometimes when we come upon a tricky word, we can use what we know about reading the first part of the word, the middle part of the word, and the end of the word. So breaking the word down part by part to figure out how to read a long word. So I used my sticky notes to mark where I found some tricky words, where I wanted to go back and show you how I figured out these really tricky words that I got tripped up on, or maybe you got tripped up on when we were reading. So if you were reading this book, I saw this word here. And when we were reading this page, I love this picture of the squirrels working together to get to the bird feeder. And there's this word. So it says, but the squirrels were determined. And I wrote that word here so we could see it a little better. And one thing about this word is I know that the ending ed is always going to make the same sound. Also, we have the beginning de and ed. This is called a prefix and a suffix. So some words we put something on the beginning and we put something on the end. So we already know how we're going to say the beginning and we're going to say the end. Then we have to think about the middle. So when we start breaking the words down part by part, it makes it easier for us to approach a tricky word. So I started looking at this long word, and I started thinking about it more part by part. Determined. That way, this word isn't so tricky anymore. I start thinking about it part by part. Okay, but the squirrels were determined. They devised. This is another good example. Look, it has D at the beginning and ED at the end. Wow, a lot of words have these prefixes and suffixes. That means a beginning and an end. Okay, I'm going to check out my next word that I marked. Ooh, this is a good one. It also has ed at the end, like determined did. But this one has a different beginning, a different prefix. It has prepared. So when I get to these tricky words, I'm going to break it down part by part. They put on their tiny helmets and prepared to launch themselves into the air. Prepared. When we say pre, that means before. So they got themselves ready to launch. Prepared. This looks like such a long word, but I know when I start to break these words down part by part, these long words are a lot easier for me to solve. And this one's a great word. This is called a compound word. This looks like such a long word, but this is actually two words and an ending put together. So I can take these words and I just break them down part by part by part. And I find that there's a lot of easy words put together. It's not such a big, long word after all. It's not scary. So it says the squirrels were so overjoyed. At the end, this suffix, the ending, that's another word that ends in ed. So then I see in the very middle part the word joy. I know that word, joy, easy. At the beginning, I see the word over. So I can start here. I know that word over. I know the word joy. And I know the ending ed. It looks like a long word. But when I start breaking these words, these big words down, part by part, it's not hard at all. So that's one way we can approach tricky words, breaking them down part by part. And they're not that hard at all. And I know you guys can do it.